All right, welcome to Kiss My Assets podcast. This is where we dive into the details about multifamily investing. We love assets that are tangible, that you can drive by, that you can see, that you can touch. And we also love cash flow and passive income, which is what creates ultimate financial freedom.
That's my favorite part.
And I'm the host, Jamison Manwaring. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Neighborhood Ventures. Neighborhood Ventures is a real estate crowdfunding platform that enables everyone to grow their wealth through multifamily investing with as little as $1,000. And joining me today is Heather Andrews, who leads investor relations at Neighborhood Ventures. So hi, Heather, and welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm back again. You cannot get rid of me.
You're back, and we're excited to have you back. And I just want to kind of level set where we are now as of early September, late August, early September, with the markets. So as of Sunday, the NASDAQ, which is primarily tech stocks, so far year to date is down 22%. The S&P 500 is down 15% year to date. The Dow is down 11%. And then if you look at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is down 57% year to date. Now just barely over 20,000 per Bitcoin. And Ethereum is down 60% year to date, under 1,500. So just want to do a little snapshot of where we are now that we are approaching the end of summer officially as Labor Day comes and we're starting September. Folks are going back to school. And now we don't have COVID. Things are getting very normal again. So it's been a very interesting year. I remember having a conversation with one of our bigger investors who had quite a bit of money in the stock market. And they were looking at putting a big investment in commercial real estate with us early in the year. This was, last December. So they were looking at doing that in the first of the year. And I used to cover stocks as an equity analyst, so I would cover single stocks and would make recommendations whether you should buy, sell, or hold. And I don't do that anymore, but I did that for several years after college. And my feeling was, with all of the run-up in stocks at the end of last year, that it might be a rough year for stocks. So sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. In that case, and in the case of myself, I didn't have any money in the market. And I'm glad that I didn't, because we saw a huge run up over a couple year period in 2020 and 2021. And then this year there's been a big correction. So I'm glad I haven't been in the market. That particular investor, they did invest some with us. They kept a lot in the market. And you can never predict this perfectly, right? But that's one thing I would say. If you say, okay, what did we say was right? What did we say was wrong? That was one thing. As we got to the end of last year, now we're into the year, and those assets have come down quite a bit.
Well, enough that you feel a little bad for him. I do feel a little bad for him. I mean, I don't feel bad for us. I don't feel bad for multifamily.
Yeah, well, you would feel bad, except that it was also 2 years of run up.
So they had their time.
So yeah, if you look relative to what the run up was, that puts it into context. Okay. But you can never always be right. But as we're sitting here, the markets have come down quite a bit. On the other side of it, Neighborhood Ventures has paid a 12% preferred return through the year. That's not changing. That continues to be the steady stream of income, the steady stream of an asset. And typically that's what commercial real estate can do. But that maybe it's a time to buy, and that's kind of a debate we've had in our office. Maybe it's a time to buy stocks, maybe it's not. But that's just where we are. And then I also, we have several things that are happening in the news right now. And we specifically talk about multifamily, and even more specifically, some of the things that are happening in the Arizona and Phoenix markets, because that's where most of our projects are. So one of the exciting things that's happening in Central Phoenix is one of the areas that in the last 20 years has really changed. It's become a place where people want to go.
Yeah.
Before this happened, 20 years ago in the 90s, everyone kind of abandoned the central part of Phoenix, and they moved out to the suburbs. They moved to Scottsdale. They moved to Mesa. They moved to Gilbert. They moved to Glendale, Peoria, Surprise, Avondale.
North Phoenix.
North as
Yes.
well. And the central part of Phoenix was kind of left as not a place you really wanted to go.
Oh, I grew up here, and we were told not to go.
Yeah.
That was not for us.
Yeah. There was some safety issues.
Yes.
There was also just kind of a lack of things to draw you there.
No, just a lot of buildings, empty buildings or office buildings.
So around the late 90s, one of the catalysts that really helped change that was Bank One Ballpark that came to downtown. The Suns built a new arena, America West Arena at the time, that started driving people more downtown, and it would give people a reason to go downtown. And then once you start getting that traffic, then there was some other things that started sprouting up, restaurants, the Phoenix Convention Center added on. So downtown has become more vibrant. It's still not as vibrant as some of the downtowns when it comes to nightlife, when it comes to activities, but it's definitely on the way. And one of the cool announcements that that's happened the last few weeks is a couple of big projects in Central Phoenix. The first one is, and we'll show you this on the screen, is the Phoenix Financial Center. This is on Osborne and Central. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I love this because it's I think a beautiful building. It's a piece of history.
Yep.
And they're not going to change the facade or the things that make it really special.
Yeah, so this is kind of a funky building. Yeah. Arizona had a boom in the late 60s and 70s with buildings. And so when you drive around and you see some of these buildings, they kind of have this funky 70s architecture. This one was built in 1964, the Phoenix Financial Center. It's like 20 stories in Midtown. You have, downtown there's some buildings, some high rises, and then there's kind of a gap. And then Midtown, there's another set of high rises. And this is around that Osborne and Central area. And great announcement that they're going to come in and renovate the building. And they're going to also add a new 7-story Class A multifamily in the on the same plat as that Phoenix Financial Center. They're keeping the Phoenix Financial Center intact. Yep. They're going to upgrade it, maybe add some retail. Right now, it's just an office, and it's kind of been in a weird state because there's not a lot going on there pedestrian-wise. Right. And that's one of the things that needs to change to make some of these neighborhoods more vibrant, is having some street-level retail, some street-level activities. And so that was one thing that I think was exciting to see. And you like the architecture. I
do. I love that. I think anything that gives some personality, because I think Phoenix did go through a period where everything was very, very much the same kind of adobe or stucco. And now keeping some history and some interest, makes us a little more exciting, like some of the other cities.
Yeah, it's our vibe. Yeah. That some of the coolest buildings we have come from that era. Yeah. And because we did see a boom around then when they built a lot, and they are unique. And so it's exciting they're keeping it, but revamping it. Up the street a little bit further north, there is a new project that kind of is modeled after what happened in Scottsdale with the Scottsdale Waterfront, the canal. So we have some really vibrant canals throughout Phoenix. It's one of the things that if you go back in the history of Phoenix, we've had these canals actually since before it was settled by Westerners from the original native folks who lived here had this canal system. Yep. Obviously, we're in the desert, so
we need water.
We need the water organization. So they came in, they had this really elaborate canal system to send water throughout the valley. And then we have continued to develop that as there's been more building and more construction. And now there's the canals are throughout the valley. Yep. And we've kind of taken after the San Antonio model, where San Antonio, Texas, if you go there on a Saturday, everyone's in the canal, floating down the rivers throughout the city, and it's a big draw. what first happened in Tempe Town Lake, where we made that kind of a reservoir, and now on both sides of the lake, it's become a really booming area. Because in the desert,
It's
we need
so
we need the water. We want the water,
and we're excited to see water.
Yes, at any time.
And the canals, I think, growing up, there was very much you stayed away. They were fenced off, and to reimagine something or repurpose it to be something beautiful and like useful is always exciting.
Yeah, love it.
Yes.
So we take something that initially was just for function.
Yep.
And we say, how do we make this a cool feature?
Yes.
In a place like Arizona where there is no water, natural water, the rivers are all dried up unless it's rained the night before. So these canal systems they followed Tempe. Then Scottsdale built a really cool area that's called Scottsdale Waterfront. Mm-hmm. There's really nice luxury condo tower on it. Scottsdale Fashion Square is on one side, Old Town Scottsdale's on the other side, and it's really become this great gathering place in Old Town Scottsdale. So back to Central Phoenix, this is the kind of thing we need more in Central Phoenix. And this project was announced. It's going to be a development with multifamily, and then on the ground floor level, cafes, retail, restaurants on the canal, around the Still Indian School Park area, which has a lot of potential.
Yes, potential. I love that word.
Yes. It needs some investment. It needs some creativity, but it definitely has some potential. So this particular project, they're going to build 150 luxury multifamily. They'll have the ground floor retail, and this quote I think was good from the city. The city said that the space is ideally suited for a cafe, bistro, or coffee shop, and provides a first-of-its-kind amenity for patrons of the Grand Canal Trail to stop for refreshment, a bite to eat in the shade of the canopies extending off the southern face of the building. Because right now in Phoenix, this doesn't exist. The canals are just kind of there. There's not a gathering place. And then they also say it's the kind of development that needs to occur along the central corridor if Phoenix is to become a more walkable, less vehicle-dependent city.
And that's my favorite part. And I think this is the building as well, that they're having some combination live-workspaces. And I just like the idea that the residents there, when you live there, you work there, you're spending your money, it's going to your neighbors, you're investing in your community, and everyone's able to take more ownership. It's only going to bring up the value. It's only going to be a better living experience, that they are really looking for ways to build a community there and keep people there longer.
Yeah, and I live on Central and Thomas, and I want that area to be cool. I live in an old home built in 1925, and in that, the area that I live in, there's been a lot of reinvestment in the homes, but there's not been a lot of reinvestment in the parks, in the community areas. You'll see some restaurants popping up, which is great, but there needs to be a concerted effort to make the parks cool. For example, I've told the story taking my dog to the dog park at Still Indian School Park, and there's no lights. All the lights are broken. The park is all dirt, and that's when you go home. And that's when you go home and you never go back. Yeah. When I lived in South Scottsdale, I took my dog to the dog park, and it's a whole scene. There's 200 people there with their dogs, bright lights, really nice manicured lawns, right? And so for these urban areas like Central Phoenix to really become a destination, the city and private sector need to come together on some more of these projects. So I think it's a great idea. And I think this is what drives the city and to improve these areas. When you have people moving in, this is where I live, this is where I work, it's where I spend my money, and they're getting involved in their community with the city, saying we want to come out, fix this, upgrade, what do we need to do? Yeah. Yeah. I hope that project goes well. There is also a project plan for Still Indian School Park on Indian School and Central, and there's a plat of land there on the corner that they're going to do some towers there. So there's some cool things happening in the Central corridor. If you drive down Central right now, there's a lot of apartment buildings going up in there, 7 stories, 8 stories.